Hi, everyone. My name is Colin Bailey, and today we will be going over my final project proposals. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we can get going. As I was saying, my name is Colin Bailey. These are my final project proposals for Computer Science 6510 Data Intelligence. I am a Master's of Science in Accounting Analytics student at Marquette University. And today we'll be going over a few of my project proposals. So let's get started. So proposal one, we can talk about I'd like to talk about this, do an analysis regarding state tax revenue. I know currently we live in Wisconsin. Personally, I'm from Nebraska. I've lived in a couple different states. And so I think it would be really cool to do a project regarding state tax revenue. Every year, state and local governments create their budgets. And oftentimes, you hear people talk about how are we using our resources? Where are these resources coming from? And how can we estimate future resources? And the way that state governments do it, they rely on tax revenue. And so this is one of the areas I find interest in. The problem will be estimating and looking at different characteristics that impact state tax revenue. It will assist government budgeting processes regarding tax revenue and will include key indicators that may impact the rise and fall of tax revenue each year. Some variables I've considered would include filing status, what tax bracket are different amounts of revenue coming from, what does the current economic environment look like, and a few other factors. As far as data set, so most state Department of Revenues actually have their prior year and previous fiscal year financial data. And so I would like to use these data sets. I would probably combine a few just so we can take a look at different states. Not every state is the same. And, that could even be something that is taken into account as far as this project idea. Anticipated outcomes, I'd like to create visualizations and key statistics that could be used by executives and key decision makers. So within the government, that would be your accountants, auditors, the treasurer at either the city or state level. Be able to visualize and show different analytics and perform regression analysis. I know those are different items that we'll be working on later in the semester. And so I believe that will help narrow down the statistics to help decision makers. And then as far as challenges and questions go, I think the biggest challenge for this project and the other projects, you'll see my other proposals have very similar challenges and questions, but I think they're very relevant for all three proposals. What data is relevant and what should and should not be included? How many statistics or variables do we need in this analysis? And then how big does the data set actually need to be? Those will impact the output and utilization of this project at the end. So this is proposal one. Proposal two. So another idea I have would be to do stock price movement analysis. The prices of stocks change every minute of the day for a variety of reasons. I think if you're going to compare things on a more macro level, I think it would be important for us to look at this from a quarterly or yearly measure. And so basically, the point of this project would be to help investors better identify performance measures that impact stock prices and help with decision making. So some of these key factors that I would like to test include varying levels of risk, different financial ratios, and then the external economic environment. This could include the economy overall. But those would be the three main points that I believe are the greatest impact on stock up to this point. Maybe I'll learn something new. Maybe there will be other things that we learn from this. As far as data set, so Marquette University provides students with access to FactSet and Refinitiv. Both of these are reputable databases with historical performance and financial indicators for publicly traded companies. I think this the data sets that I would pull, and I have pulled a few and looked, and I like the look of them. I think they have, quality data. I think we could work with that for sure. Anticipated outcomes, again, employ techniques such as different data visualizations that we've used and learned so far in this class, using things like R, Excel, things like that. Look at key statistics, and also as the semester gets to the end, perform regression analysis to help identify the data set and figure out what variables are impacting stock price. This will assist business performance by helping investors, whether it be your personal financial situation or if you're a business looking to invest in different securities. This will help make decisions regarding investments. So once again, same challenges and questions as the last data set. I'd like to determine which data is relevant. Some of these data sets have, 20, 50 different factors that could be analyzed, but not all of them are going to be important. So I'm going to be looking at which statistics and variables do we actually need in this analysis, as well as how big does this data set need to be? How many companies do I need to compare? Or in this, in this instance, I think realistically, maybe doing the top 20 to the top 40 of the Fortune 100 companies. This is another project proposal I really like the look of. So let's keep moving. So proposal number 3, another government accounting situation, but this time I'd like to look at the federal government fund analysis. Proposal 1 was more regarding like state local tax revenue. And that was more focused on like the actual tax revenue and what impacts that. This proposal is a little bit different because this will be looking at, on a much grander scale, the actual federal government and how they make use of their resources. The problem, government resource efficiency, something that you hear about all the time, that is one of the key components of every election, every debate, one of the biggest parts of politics in the United States. People disagree on how we allocate our funds. And so I think this would be a really, really interesting project. I really like the look of this one. So key factors that I would like to test include efficiency ratios specifically, cost allocation by each department, and cost variance over time. So to make this make a little more sense, the actual data set, I found a great data set from the United States Treasury Department. It's publicly available. The one that I'm looking at spans 5 years, but I don't know exactly the limit, but I know you can go 0 to 1, 1 to 5 years, 5 years to 10 years. I'm sure it can span back probably a few decades. So it would be really interesting. This data set shows each government fund. So, like you have for example, like you might have your military budget and you might have your education budget. And you basically have all of the different budgets. And what's cool is that you can see the amount of money that is invested into those, and then the amount of revenue that those activities actually generate. So it would be really interesting to look at the sustainability of these projects and kind of what happens when we put that all together. Again, anticipated outcomes, employ visualization techniques, find the key statistics, and use regression to help analyze this data set. The target audience of this report would include government decision makers. So again, this would be your like federal government, accountants, the Treasury Department, and also, you have the third-party lobbyists who are trying to analyze government spending themselves, how resources are allocated and used, so that they can communicate that to politicians, kind of get in their ear and, share their opinion. To finish this off, so challenges and questions regarding this. Again, determining relevant data to include in my final assessment. Which variables and statistics do we need in this analysis? And then again, how big does this data set need to be? I guess in my mind, with financial data, the biggest question I have regarding all 3 of these proposals is how many years, like how much time would be most relevant? And that could even be something we play around with. But yeah, so these are my 3 project proposals. Really appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I'm really excited to get working on all of these. I really like all 3 of these projects. So go ahead and rank them and critique them. And I'm happy to take any criticism or advice from you all. Thank you very much.